Veganuary vegan?
No clap?
Say again?
No clap.
Is it running?
It is running.
Okay. Hi, yes, Coach here at ComplEat.com. New episode of the Veganuary podcast. This is episode 4, if I'm right. And we're gonna talk organic and non-organic foods.
Alright.
Is it good for you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what is different between organic and non-organic foods? Mainly vegetables we're gonna talk about. If you have anything to kick off, then kick off. If no, I'm just gonna tell quickly that organic food is, when they're farming and then growing vegetables, they basically don't use any GMOs or pesticides or any hormones to grow the vegetables. While it's non-organic, means it's somehow the growth of the vegetables being manipulated, even with hormones or greenhouse effect, or something that's been sped up or is being grown in a place where it's otherwise wouldn't grow. But it doesn't mean it's not as healthy as the other one, or it's less nutritious. I didn't find much studies. Some studies say it's like a little bit, an organic foods a little bit have more nutrition in it, but it's not clear. I think usually they have the same amount of nutrition, unless it's like really bad quality food, but usually they have the same amount of nutrition. Non-organic, so organic food could be a little more expensive than non-organic, but usually it's a personal choice. So if some people, they choose organic food over non-organic from like various reasons, but it's not like if you not eating organic food, you're gonna miss out something, or you're gonna be less healthy, because there's no like clear evidence that only organic food is the best in the world. So if you feel like you cannot afford it, it's totally fine. It's not much difference between organic and non-organic.
Yeah. So as far as I know, usually I mostly have been looking at this stuff more from an environmental perspective and social, justice regarding global trade and stuff like that. So I'm not any expert in the health department, but from a couple of things that I've read, I was able to grasp that, well, obviously it's not ideal to consume pesticides. Whilst we don't have, any proof that they can harm your life in a significant way, they might have some sort of chronic effect. So if you consistently consume pesticides every single day throughout decades of your life, then they might have some harmful benefits somehow. I think it might also have to do with organic tendencies or biological tendencies of each person that might be more prone to certain, health issues and so on. But in a general way, health experts seem to be in agreement with regards to the fact that it is much more important to guarantee a variety of fruits and vegetables in your diet than to be concerned with the low amounts of pesticides that they are allowed to put in crops and so on. GMOs, as far as I know, there's no proof that they are harmful in a specific way. It's just we have been genetically manipulating crops for
forever.
I was going to say for thousands of years. Maybe not by manipulating the genes directly as we can do today, because we didn't have the technology before, but we would cross species of plants in order to obtain the most or
yeah, we do this with dogs and everything, like we crossbreed stuff. So we just marry different vegetable families, if you quote unquote say, to get the best what you want. The bigger one, the more nutritious. It depends what you need on that climate, and that's what you're gonna cook. And there is no evidence that there is less pesticides in a non-organic food, so that's not clear either.
Well, yeah, that's true. That you might have to still use pesticides. Some people use, in order to be able to label them as biologically grown. I mean, nowadays I'm not so sure, but I know that a couple of years ago it was common practice in organic crops. That's fine. Don't eat that. In organic or biological crops, it was common to use copper. But the issue with copper is that it tends to turn the land infertile. So that's also not good. So, between one harm and the other, I mean, at least you can still have the crops growing. Of course, it would always be better to consume at least local, either because of health, because usually what tends to grow locally, it's the most appropriate food to, well, not in an urban place, obviously, but in countryside and crops, is what, usually it's best adapted to that climate, and therefore it's supposed to provide you with a very good nutrition for the place that you live. But nowadays that's also tricky because we just manipulate stuff and we grow basically almost everything almost anywhere. So that doesn't necessarily.
And also organic food has a bigger effect on the environment than non-organic, because you have to use like heaters and ventilators and stuff like this and you also have to manipulate the ground as well just to not use, because if you don't want to use fertilizer, then you have to use other methods to make sure that your crop is like safe.
And nowadays it's really hard to use, for example, animal organic matter from like animal waste, because of all sorts of concerns with health and potential transmission of bacteria or viruses and etc.
So it's not black and white. All of them has this advantages and disadvantages. What you need to do is like, the problem is like food labeling is different from country. So just because something says organic, it doesn't mean it's better than the other one. So you have to make sure, you have to check the ingredients, because sometimes like just to be labeled as organic, it could have like one ingredient organic or so, and the rest is just crap. So if you grab packaged food, so now let's talk about individual, like an apple or something, or one courgette or something, because there you can see it's organic or not, it's gonna be still individual. But if you buy a product packed and it says organic ingredients, or it says just organic on the label, and it has, I don't know, 6-7 ingredients, like a salad or something, and it's one thing is organic, the rest is not, then you're not eating organic food, but you're paying the price as an organic food. So just make sure that you know what you eat. So read the label and make sure it's not, or you have one organic ingredient and the rest is just crap, like E325 or something. So you have like this chemicals in it, and they put like one organic ingredient in the package. It can label it as organic, but at the end you're still eating a lot of chemicals. So if you have like an allergy for chemicals and stuff like this, then, or you don't want to consume chemicals, then and that's why you're choosing organics. Try to get the whole foods as much as possible, as you always should. But if you're in a hurry, just because something has an organic label doesn't mean it's fully organic. So just make sure you do.
For me, it's more important to search for whole foods, to consume whole foods, than packaged stuff that says organic in it, to be quite honest. Obviously, I mean, if I'm consuming something that comes from a local farmer, it's even better. But honestly, I'm always thinking more about the environmental dimension of this matter rather than my health. But obviously, you know, if I'm already eating healthy, I'm assuming that that's taken care of.
Yeah.
So then I usually look at these matters from a bit of a different perspective. But yeah, so usually I try to use whole foods, which already sort of eliminates most part of the easily avoidable chemicals and things.
And then you have to make sure you wash all this.
Yeah.
Like some people,
cold
like
water, well washed, is good for most.
Yeah. Like most people, like surprised that they have to wash rice and lentils and quinoa and stuff. They just open the package and they put it in the water, but you have to wash it. Always wash everything. Just because it's being clean doesn't mean it's clean. Because like they put certain things on vegetables in the shops as well. So even if you buy whole food individual, the reason why they look so good, because sometimes they have wax on it, so it's shiny, so you want to buy them. It looks healthy, but actually it has like a wax layer on it, so it looks more it looks more shiny than they're just vegetables from the ground. So they already cleaned. Like if you've been in a garden and you pull out a carrot from the dirt, it's not clean. It takes a lot of time to clean it. So whatever you buy in the shop, it's already clean. The vegetable doesn't grow like that. So it's somewhat clean, but they put different stuff on it so they don't rotten, they don't go off, so they can be out longer, and they put wax on it so it looks like more shiny and more healthy, but actually it's wrong. So just wash everything, even if it's rice or quinoa, wash it before you start cooking it, and then rinse it again if you can. To avoid pesticide. And there is a thing called the Veggie Wash. So you usually can buy it in bigger shops or corporations. It's like you have to put the veggies in water. You put like 2 cups of Veggie Wash, and it clears down the wax and the pesticides and anything could be on the veggies. So that's something if you want to make sure it's super clean, that you can use the Veggie Wash.
Yeah, we've had one of my questions regarding that type of washes is that if they kill everything, aren't they also killing the healthy, well, not the nutrients themselves, but like, there's a certain amount of bacteria that is healthy for you to consume. That's why you eat stuff from the ground.
Yeah. But it's already been removed anyway, because that's why we don't get enough B12, and it's not just for vegans, it's for everyone. Yeah. Because we don't have contact with dirt anymore, and B12 is a bacteria. What we should eat. It's not a vitamin, it's a bacteria. But we don't have contact with the dirt anymore, so we don't eat grass. And even people who eat meat, those cows usually don't see grass, or the pig doesn't. B12 supplements, so they give supplements to the animal, and then you eat the animal flesh, and that's how you get B12. It's not because you have to eat animal products. Those animal products been injected with B12 anyway, so why don't you just skip that and get a B12 supplements for yourself? Exactly. It's coming from the dirt, so as animals doesn't have contact with dirt anymore, we don't either. We are like live a sanitized life, then you have to get supplements anyway.
And I think like eating the intermediary, so the animal, it's often even worse than actually taking a supplement. If you're a vegan, you can take a vegan B12 supplement or any other kind of supplements, because any animal grabs, even fishes and maritime animals, they grab their ingredients from the environment around them, sometimes from seaweeds and so on. So it's algae. So what was I going to say? When you eat the animal, they have something that is the same that we have as biological living beings, which is called bioavailability. If I'm translating literally from Portuguese, but I think it's which means that anything that you consume, you're only going to absorb a certain amount of it, a certain percentage of what you're consuming, even with medicine, for example. And actually in medicine is interesting, because in some of them you can actually see in the description how much are you going to absorb of that medicine. Antibiotics, for example, usually have that. Anyway, so when you eat the animal, you are already not consuming the whole percentage of supplement that they've been taking anyway, because they won't absorb 100% of it. So you might as well just consume it yourself directly. And you know.
Well, in a way, like, food has less nutrition than before. So I think they made a comparison between the 70s and today's vegetables, and is like 70% less than before. So you need to consume more vegetables than before, because they're less nutritious anyway. And it's with everything else. So it's not just on vegetables, but because it's mass growing, they're less. They look bigger and everything, but they're less nutritious.
They grow faster, they don't absorb as much nutrients.
All the food we eat is usually less nutritious. So I always suggest everyone to get like a blood profile. So every 6 months or once a year at least, check your blood lipids, and if something missing, just supplement that. So if you have like B12 deficiency, get a B12 supplement. It's a D, get a D. So don't get a multivitamin, because it's never works. There is no proof that multivitamins work actually. So you just get an individual vitamin or mineral if you need. If you don't need, you don't take it. You don't have to take supplements if your body doesn't require. But bioavailability comes up sometimes with proteins, like they said, like vegan proteins are not as bioavailable than animal proteins, which is not true. There are studies been shown, and they are just exactly the same or almost the same. If you're using like soy protein or something, they made the study, but everything else is just as bioavailable than animal protein. Non-heme iron, it could be a little less bioavailable. So make sure if you eat iron, which is in greens, then you eat it with or beans as well, and legumes. So make sure if you consume iron, non-heme iron salts like greens and beans and lentils, then eat it with the vitamin C. So get the greens with it, and get or a fruit or something. So because vitamin C helps the absorption of the iron, so try to combine the two. So beans and broccoli or something like that, if you put them together.
I just shared one of your infographics about iron today. I think it's really cool, because they come very summarized but very clear. So I really like the infographics, so you can always
follow me on Instagram, and then usually I post every day something about vitamins, minerals for athletes and just general population as well. So if you're interested in that, there's always have something informative on the matter.
Yeah, it makes it really easy to see like the images associated to the nutritions, which veggies are you talking about and stuff like that. But
all this is written down in my vegan table cookbook and nutrition book. So
that's more detailed.
If you purchase that, like in my book, it's like everything detailed down, like how much you have to eat every day, and then you get recipes for that, and it's broken down to section of vitamins and minerals and what you need as an athlete and just a general population.
But in to sum up, or to get back to our initial point of conversation, it does make that much difference in the end to buy something that says organic or not. Probably if you want to be really careful and really selective, maybe try to instead buy locally produced food.
Local and seasonal fruits are always your best choice, but other than that, whatever you can grab, just make sure you eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, especially winter time. You need to ramp up your fruits and your minerals and vitamins, so make sure you get anyhow in. It doesn't matter if it's not organic, just get them in and you'll be fine. Mix it up with raw and cooked. There was a lot of studies about which one is better, is raw or cooked. Again, something comes up like it's better if you cook it, something comes up better if you eat it raw, but man, like there's millions of fruits and vegetables. Obviously fruits you don't cook, but millions of vegetables.
Well,
you
can use them in.
Yeah. But you're not gonna go through like all the population with all the raw foods and all the cooked foods. Just eat it, like there's no certain difference between them. So make sure you have some raw veggies here and then some cooked veggies there, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, just wash it really well.
Yeah.
And if you don't have much time, for some reason for example, you work, well, no, probably not at this present moment for most people, but anyway, if your normal job is far away from your home, if you work in a different city, for example, you don't have that much time, and you prepare some food from the previous day, but then you need to snack something along the day. One thing that I do, although I live very nearby from my work,
2 minutes.
I still have to take a lot of food because I'm not coming back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
And I eat very frequently around the day. So one of the things that I do if I have the time in the morning or on the previous day is shakes. Sometimes it's really easy. You can just gulp on it for like a few seconds while no one is watching.
Yeah.
and just keep yourself at least not hungry.
Yeah.
And sometimes what I do, I usually use fruits and or vegetable milks, or I put oats in there, a little bit of protein powder if I have it. Or but sometimes I also mix some veggies, like things that don't have a very, very strong taste. The carrot, for example, because it's sort of kind of sweet in a way. It goes very well with some of the fruits. You can also use like spinach and stuff that make it very, very green, but it doesn't taste bad, and you can use it raw as well. And it's really easy to blend. So yeah, you can there are lots of ways that you can include healthy whole foods in your diet without necessarily having to go through a whole complex process of cooking and using lots of spices and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that wraps it up. Yeah. Thank you for joining us today, and just remember, eat your fruits and vegetables and you'll be fine. Yeah. That's it for today, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Train complete. And the pig.
A friend, not food.
Yeah.